Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So just a quick temperature update for you today. Once again, we got record temperatures around the world. Today we hit a high of 35 degrees in my hometown. That's Celsius. I think that's nearing the 100 degree mark, but we have this thing here called the humidex, which is a thing that's everywhere, but I think there's more humidity in the northern hemisphere, in some places, obviously not in all places. But the humidex is basically how much humidity is in the air, and that actually amplifies the feeling of the heat. So, it might be 35, but it actually feels like 45 type thing. And that's a very real feeling, because when you go out and it's that muggy and it's that hot, it's like the heat just hits you like a wall in a different way. And I've talked to people who live in the Middle East, and they've told me that the heat here is much different because of the humidex. The dry heat is actually more bearable than the damp, humid heat. So something to bear in mind. But, what do you guys think about this? Because this thing seemed to be ramping up here. I mean, we got record temperatures being broken all around the world. And before somebody evokes the confirmation bias logical fallacy that, we're just seeking out information that confirms what we're looking for. So when I do a search of record temperatures, of course, all the record temperatures come up. It was found that I believe it was in the month of June, or it might have been May, the 8,500 temperature records were broken. It was the month of May for record heat, and only 500 records were broken for record cold. So, which clearly indicates a trend towards warming. In Montreal recently, we had a wild heat wave where up to 33 people were killed. Their deaths were attributed to the hot air. Most of these individuals were senior citizens, I'm guessing, and they probably had some other chronic health problems, and the heat just was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in that instance. I really got a kick out of this headline here: how to survive this summer's near record temperatures, and it shows some rather out of shape individuals eating ice cream. I mean, I seriously thought that this was a joke headline when I seen the picture. It's ironic on so many levels because it has the word survive in it. It implies the whole trend towards global warming and one possible doomsday scenario. And here you have people who are, hunched over the table, stuffing their face with some of the most technologically dependent, refined sugars that money can buy. Really, what if this headline was accurate? It would have a guy out there hunting or fishing or something like that. That's how you're going to survive if this trend continues. Now, there's also this story of some guy who got his foot stuck in the tarmac because it melted. You can't make this stuff up. It's kind of poetic in a way. Some guy's running, I don't know where he was going, but let's just pretend that he was going to go and consume a bunch of stuff. He was on his way to go consume, and all of a sudden the earth swallowed him whole because the planet was heating up. You can't really make stuff like that up. So that put a big hole in his conspicuous consumption plan, so to speak. And I guess the fire department had to come and rescue him, and it was a big thing. So anyways, I digress. I just wanted to share this with you because there really is a lot of temperature records that have been broken in recent years, and the whole greenhouse gas thing seems to be gaining more credence by the day, as these record temperatures can no longer be attributed to a cyclical pattern. They can no longer be viewed as anomalous, as this has been demonstrated now to be a consistent pattern where there's an upwards trend. It's almost as predictable as Moore's law at this point. So the question is then, how do we survive this if the trend continues? Because if it continues in this direction, all it's going to take is another degree or so of warming for it to trigger some negative feedback loop within agriculture or some other life-sustaining system that we rely on to meet the need of our human species. There's another side effect here also, because the hotter it gets, the more energy is required to cool things down. So whether that's with refrigeration or air conditioning, and as a result of needing more energy, that means we need to burn even more fossil fuels. We need to consume higher amounts of electricity in order to control our local climates. Among other feedback loops are the forest fire feedback loops. So as the climate warms, there's more forest fires, and so there's less forests to absorb the CO2. Heard it said that there's 500 billion trees left on the planet, down from, I think we've cut half of the trees on the planet. There's an estimated 0.5 trillion trees on the planet. And of those trees, they're the small ones. They're the crappy ones that we didn't want to harvest for whatever reason. So, you're probably looking at about 70% of the Earth's biomass in terms of forests has actually been taken off the land since, before civilization. So that's another feedback loop. There's the methane bubble feedback loop, which happens when, as the Arctic sea ice melts and the permafrost melts, methane is released, which is a much more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. And that's going to trap even exponentially more heat in the atmosphere. And as that heat is trapped in the atmosphere, that melts the sea ice faster. As the sea ice melts, there's not enough white on the planet, literally, to reflect the sun's light back to outer space. So the planet starts to darken, and as such, it gets warmer and warmer and warmer. So these are all ongoing feedback loops, and there's many more of these. These are just the ones I'm aware of offhand that climatologists talk about. This is not counting our reliance on pesticides, herbicides, fertilizer, crop irrigation. So now that it seems pretty evident that this is happening, and even if it's not evident to you, I'd like to still hear your thoughts about how to prepare for a future like this. Where would the best places to live be, in your opinion? So once again, let me know what you guys think below. How are we going to weather this coming storm if this trend continues? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.